What is up, guys? It's me, Exactly, back bringing you some more NBA news and updates. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, but you guys already know that we got a heck of a lot to talk about today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just get into this. Let's go. For our first story of the day, and this one's going to be kind of a rough one for any Washington Wizards fans out there, as it's pertaining to John Wall. Alright, so for those of you who might be a little unaware of what's been going on with John Wall, early in the season he was diagnosed with a ruptured Achilles tendon, and reports say that this injury was caused by Wall, quote, slipping and falling in his home, and as a result he's scheduled to miss up to 12 months of NBA basketball. And since this injury happened back in February, John Wall wouldn't return to the basketball court up until the February of 2020, so around the All-Star break is when he could potentially return. However, according to reports, that in and of itself might not be as likely, as John Wall says that he doesn't even know if he will return at all in the 2019-2020 NBA season, as when he was asked about how his injury recovery is going and whether or not he plans to play next season, this is what he had to say. "I have no idea just yet. That's my goal. That's my mindset. That's what I'm pushing towards. But whenever the doctors clear me and get to that point, that's when I will know." And this is kind of similar to what Kristaps Porzingis was saying during his recovery from his injury, that he was going to try and come back this season, but that he wasn't sure if that was going to be the case, and now we all see that clearly that wasn't the case. So John Wall sitting out all of 2019-2020 is a very real possibility, so I am terribly sorry to any Washington Wizards fans out there. Next up in the news, and this is easily some of the biggest news that we've had all season. I know a lot of you might have been waiting to hear my take on this news. Anyways, that news is Magic Johnson coming out of nowhere and announcing that he is stepping down as the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers. I know, this is probably the biggest and best news that Lakers fans could have hoped for at this point of the season. Magic Johnson finally stepping down. Lakers fans have been going at this guy all season long for some of the moves and decisions that he's made now that they didn't work out after the fact, and a lot of the moves and decisions that he's made as the president of basketball operations for the Lakers overall just haven't worked out in the Lakers' favor. So Lakers fans are for sure happy about this. As for Magic Johnson, he says he's decided to step down for a multitude of reasons. For example, his inability to train with a player like Ben Simmons because he was the president of basketball operations, and training with another player while you're the president of basketball operations could easily be seen as tampering.
Then Simmons called and we went through the proper channels, and they made me look like the bad guy out of that situation, but I didn't do anything wrong, but do everything right. I was thinking about all those times, all guys who want me to mentor them or be a part of their lives, and I can't even do that. I had more fun on the other side than on this side.
And not only that, Magic Johnson also said that he just doesn't enjoy how much backstabbing goes on when you're the president of basketball operations, and how he's always made out to look like the bad guy.
What I didn't like is the backstabbing and the whispering. I don't like that. You know, I don't like a lot of things that went on that didn't have to go on.
And even for a reason as simple as him not being able to tweet at a player for having a good game. That's something Magic Johnson says that he's wanted to do, but being the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers hasn't allowed him to do that, and he wants that ability back.
Fines and tampering and this and that. I can't help young men who want me to help them. Or I can't tweet out like Russell Westbrook. That was a great feat the other day, and I couldn't even tweet it out to say, "Hey, congratulations, man." And if I had did that, everybody said, "Oh, he's tampering." You know, I don't like that. I like to be free.
Also saying that he has such a beautiful life and that he just doesn't need this job. He doesn't want to do it, so he's not going to do it.
And then I got a great life. I was like, damn, I got a great life outside of this. What am I doing? You know, I got a beautiful life. So I'm gonna go back to that beautiful life.
But my favorite part of this entire surprise interview that Magic Johnson did, and yes, it was a surprise to everyone, even the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, Jeannie Buss herself, had no idea that Magic Johnson was planning on stepping down, so she found out just like the rest of us. Anyways, my absolute favorite part of all of this was Magic Johnson talking about how when other executives within the Lakers would be talking to him about the plans for this upcoming offseason and for next season, and Magic Johnson says that he'd just be thinking to himself that he wasn't even going to be a part of it, but he'd be playing along anyways.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not gonna be here.
And if you go on to listen to this entire interview, it all kind of starts to sound the same. Magic Johnson essentially said that he wasn't cut out for this job. He didn't have the heart to fire people. He doesn't like how backstabbing and ruthless you have to be to run an NBA team, and that running an NBA team cuts into his time, his freedom that he so desperately desires. It literally sounded like this was just way too much responsibility for Magic Johnson to handle, so he didn't want to handle it anymore. And that's what it all boils down to. Magic Johnson not really being qualified to be the president of basketball operations for an NBA basketball team. We all saw it, and I think the rest of the league front offices and executives saw it, considering some of the moves that Magic Johnson was making. It seems like he was just trying to do this as if it was a rebuild simulation on NBA 2K, making some pretty short-sighted moves in an attempt to win now and bring in big name free agents and make some big trades. Didn't care about developing young talent as much, the players that the Lakers had drafted, but instead he just wanted guys who had already made names for themselves in the league. You can see that when he packaged D'Lo with Timofey Mozgov in order to free up cap space, not bringing back Julius Randle so the Lakers could sign, quote, more established players, trading away Ivica Zubac because there's still no explanation for that one. Anyways, point being here, Magic Johnson was running the Los Angeles Lakers like he was trying to do a 2, 3, 4 year rebuild on the fly in NBA 2K. He clearly wasn't cut out for this job, but in the end, it's good that he recognized that himself and had the dignity, I suppose, or had the courage, the guts to step down, admit that he was wrong for ever doing this, and just be on his way. It sucks for Lakers fans that he did do quite a bit of damage during his time there as the president of basketball operations. The good news is, there's still hope. You still got some of your assets left, you still got LeBron James, and you're still gonna have cap space this summer, and you're going to bring in, hopefully, a more qualified president of basketball operations. For our next story of the day, one of the players that Magic Johnson was trying so hard to land and pair next to LeBron James was Anthony Davis. And that's what we have to talk about right now, as Anthony Davis just made a pretty big statement with his attire that he wore to his last game as a New Orleans Pelican, as Anthony Davis entered the arena for his final game as a Pelican wearing a shirt saying "That's all, folks." And of course, this is a reference to Looney Tunes and how they would always end their episodes. And this in and of itself, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. Some people might view it as a little bit disrespectful to the organization, wearing a shirt that says "That's all, folks" in the last game of the season, the last game Anthony Davis will ever play with the New Orleans Pelicans, since he will be traded this summer. But all that aside, it's not necessarily the biggest deal, even though it could also point to Anthony Davis being a member of a Space Jam 2. Since this is a Looney Tunes reference, we all know that Space Jam 2 and LeBron James are trying to get a lot more NBA stars to come on board, so I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Davis was one of them. But where this story really becomes interesting is when you take into account what Anthony Davis had to say after this game, as when he was asked about his wardrobe choice coming into the game, the "That's all, folks" shirt, he says, or he claims, that he didn't even pick the shirt out. Anthony Davis on why he wore the "That's all, folks" t-shirt last night. I didn't choose it. I actually didn't choose it. It was hanging for me already when I put my clothes on. Do you know who hung it? No, I'm not sure. Does he really expect us to believe that? Does Anthony Davis really expect us to believe that he didn't pick that shirt out himself? And even if he didn't, it's not like him not picking it out means anything. At the end of the day, he still saw it and he still said, you know what? This is okay to wear. I want to rock this shirt right here. It was still his choice, no matter who picked it out for him. So it's just super strange that he would say that he didn't pick it out and then also say that he doesn't know who picked it out. Like, how do you not know who's picking out your clothes if someone's picking out your clothes? Still though, I do believe that this confirms that Anthony Davis will be in Space Jam 2. I'd be really surprised not to see him in that movie alongside LeBron James. For our next story of the day, the Detroit Pistons probably just saved their season with a massive comeback win against the Memphis Grizzlies, or the skeleton of the Memphis Grizzlies, as just about every role player or key player that the Grizzlies still have on their team was out, and they've been out for the past few games. It was essentially a G League version of the real Memphis Grizzlies team. Anyways, the Pistons, led by Ish Smith and Andre Drummond in the fourth quarter, mounted a huge comeback to, like I said, once again, hopefully keep their season alive. And as a Pistons fan myself, I can say that I have never been so relieved to see them get a win. If they had lost this game to the Memphis Grizzlies and they got blown out at home like it looked like was going to happen, I would have been distraught. You probably wouldn't have seen me on here today. Anyways, after the game, Andre Drummond and an NBA fan exchanged some words on Twitter, as after Dre posted a picture with text reading, "Are you not entertained?" Hell of a comeback, fellas. One more, another Twitter user retweeted that tweet from Andre Drummond, the tweet of his own, saying, "Yo, you beat an already trash team missing about 8 players. You're going to make the playoffs by the skin of your teeth. The basketball you all have been playing this past month has been impossible to watch. No one, and I mean no one in this city is entertained." First off, since when did this guy become the spokesperson for every Pistons fan out there? How are you gonna tell us that we're not entertained? I was sure as heck entertained, depressed, but entertained. And skin off their teeth or not, you should just be happy that they're going to make the playoffs. If you're an actual Pistons fan, you should just be rejoicing at the fact that they actually might make the playoffs as long as they don't lose to the New York Knicks tonight. Please, for the love of everything, do not lose to the New York Knicks. If we do not make the playoffs because we lost to the New York Knicks in the final game of the season, I am going to lose it. Anyways, that being said, Andre Drummond himself went on to respond to this user saying, "No team in the NBA is trash, sir. You couldn't walk a day in one of our shoes, from the best teams to the teams rebuilding. We work our butt off every single night. May not be to your liking because you don't know what it's like being out there, but don't discredit my team or any team." I mean, technically, he's right. There's no such thing as a trash NBA team. Since they're still an NBA team, and to be on an NBA team, you gotta be the best of the best. That's the only way you're making it to the NBA. So there's no such thing as an actual trash NBA player or a team, but we're still gonna call them trash because compared to other NBA teams, they're trash. But at the end of the day, it's still the NBA. Any team is capable of beating any other team on any given night. I kind of think that's what Andre Drummond might have been trying to say as to why you don't call a team trash. Because you call a team trash and that team can go out and beat the Golden State Warriors, can beat the Milwaukee Bucks, the Toronto Raptors, any of the best teams in the league on any given night. And once again, that's why I have to say, please, for the love of God, even though it's the New York Knicks in the final game of the season, do not lose. And for the final story that we have today, we have to pay tribute to 2 legends whose NBA careers are coming to an end. Dwyane Wade and Dirk Nowitzki. Both these guys played their final home games of the season last night. Dirk Nowitzki even officially announcing that he will be retiring after this season. So it was for sure an emotional night for a lot of NBA fans out there. And for me, I mean, Dwyane Wade and Dirk Nowitzki have been 2 staple players in the league for my entire time as an NBA fan. Not gonna lie, I did hate Wade just a little bit in his early days because for a couple of years in a row, he put my Pistons out of their misery in the playoffs. And as for Dirk Nowitzki, he was like another Tim Duncan to me, a guy that I really respected and really looked up to in the NBA. I admired him for his loyalty and of course for the skill that he displayed out there in the basketball court. That 2011 playoff run was one of the greatest that you will ever see. And now to know that we've seen the last of them, or just about the last of them, they both have one more game left in their season, it's hard to accept. It's gonna feel really weird knowing that this is the end of both Dwyane Wade and Dirk Nowitzki in the NBA. It's gonna feel really, really strange to see the Dallas Mavericks without Dirk and the Miami Heat again without Wade. Anyways, that is going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, you already know what I want you to do. Go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on, as well as smack that like button, as it does help the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but that being said, until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC. And I'm out of here. Peace.